It's me, it's Queen Asa Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Okay, guys, so today we got a really good question. Someone asked me, what is an empath, and how do you know if you are an empath? So, I'm going to first tell you what an empath is. An empath is a person who is extra sensitive. They would say unusually sensitive to stimuli. What stimuli? Vibration. Vibration is energy. And the way that human beings create vibration, the way that we create energy, one way anyway, is through our feelings. So an empath is extremely sensitive to their own and other people's feelings. So if you're an Aquarius and you find yourself to be more emotional than they usually say Aquarius are, or more expressive of your emotion than they usually say Aquarius are, you're probably an empath. Because all Aquarius feel things deeply, but only some of us express and pick up on the emotions of others and are comfortable with that and comfortable with our own. Aquarius, Pisces, and Cancer are the three top signs to be empaths. Now, what the hell does this mean? It means that you pick up on energy. And I'm going to give you guys an example of a time when it happened to me and I was extremely taken aback. Not too long ago, maybe about 3 years ago, I was in Fresh Grocer on Shelton Avenue in Philadelphia. It was one of my favorite markets to go to. And one day I was there. I was coming back from someplace else. And I was standing in line behind a lot of people. And I was waiting to get whatever I was waiting to get. So I'm standing behind this woman. And I feel this weird vibration coming off her. It felt like heat with like firecrackers in it. That's the best way I can describe it. That's what it felt like to my energy. And I was like, she feels weird. And then I kept hearing someone say to me, say something to her. And I don't like doing that. I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I'm out in public and I get a feeling or something like that, I don't like doing that because people think it's eerie. People think it's really eerie. And there have been a lot of times when I've been in public and my abilities have come out. And people look at you funny and I'm like, So I'm not always very open with that kind of energy. I try to make sure the person is open to it first and not going to be freaked out. So they kept telling me, say something to her, say something to her. And I kept hearing this in my head. And I was like, I was just standing there. And so finally, I was like, they're not going to let me get away with not saying anything. So I'm going to say something. And I didn't know what to say. So I said, excuse me, are you okay? And she turned around and the floodgates just started coming. And I was like, oh shit. She just started crying. And so I was rubbing her arm and I'm like, are you all right? Did something happen? And she was like, my daughter was pregnant and she went to have the baby. And they called me from the hospital and told me that they both died. My daughter and the baby are gone. And even to this day, I hope this lady is okay. I don't even remember her face. I just remember what she said, and I hope she's okay, because when she said it, it hit me in the heart so hard. Being a mother, and I just was like, wow. So I stood there crying myself and talking to her and rubbing her arm and, and just consoling her as best I could. Whatever they put in my head to say, I said it. Like, whatever came out. I can't even tell you guys what came out. I don't even know what I said. Because in that moment, what do you say? But whatever came up, came up. And I did my best to comfort her. I rubbed her on her arm. She got her stuff. She thanked me and she left to go handle that business, that situation, I should say. And To this day, I feel awful every time I think about it. And I just pray and I think, like, okay, God, please let her be okay. So that's what an empath does. An empath picks up on emotion, vibration, feelings. And even as you can see in that case, she wasn't facing me. There was no body language. There was no sighing. I couldn't hear her. I couldn't see her face, nothing. All I could see was her back. And that's what happens with an empath. We can feel that energy and go from there. So, how can you tell if you're an empath? Well, first of all, people may point out to you that you are highly sensitive. They've probably been pointing this out to you for your entire life. One of the things I can't stand is when people tell me how sensitive I am. I'm too emotional. I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. You're in your feelings. I just want to choke them. Like, shut the fuck up. Shit just makes me so mad. And yeah, that's true because that's how empaths are. We are very sensitive and very susceptible to feelings. And that's just the bottom line. So people probably have been telling you this most of your life, and you might be sick of hearing it like I am. Number two, you feel other people's feelings without them having to say anything. I couldn't even see that lady's face. I had no visual clues. I wasn't paying her no mind. I didn't go in there to read people or help people. I went in there to get my tokens, my bologna, my milk, and go home. But you can feel other people's feelings without them even saying anything. So if they're angry, if they're sad, if they're happy, you can feel it. You can feel it coming off of them without them even telling you. They can be pretending to be one way and you'll feel where they really are. Number three, negativity overwhelms you. A lot of us cannot be around negativity. I can't stand it. I can't be around negativity. I can't be around anger. I hate trolls. I hate all that kind of stuff. Like when people start arguing, I leave. I haven't been into an argument myself in a long time. And when I have, it's because somebody else just irk me basically to the point where here come my temper, because some of the times empaths also have quick tempers. So negativity will be overwhelming for an empath sometimes. And it'd be difficult for you, and we often have to get away from this energy. Even our own negativity and our own anger can make us sick. There's been times when I've made myself sick. So that's something that is really problematic for us. So I try to stay away from it. Next one. Being in crowded places may overwhelm you. An empath at a mall or a sporting event or a huge place could become suffocating. Because if you're hearing or feeling or sensing all this around you, it could be too much. If it's happiness, it's not that much for me. But when people are angry or when people are really hyped or irritated or frustrated in a crowd especially, that's very overwhelming for me. And some other empaths feel the same way about that. So it depends on what kind of vibration it is. But some of the times that can be very overwhelming. 5, you possess a strong intuition. Empaths are very intuitive. You just know things. You just know them and you don't know how you know them. I remember one time I was in a bar, one of my favorite bars, and we were all laughing and joking and drinking. And we were like, getting really drunk. We were getting really drunk. And this woman said something to me. She turned to me and said something. And I responded back to her. I said, it's all good. Like that. And it's something very common that I do. My thumb up, very common, And many people do that. And she stopped in her tracks and she said, oh my God. And I was like, what? And she was like, I was just at the hospital and my mother told me if she wasn't okay, she would let me know. And I said, well, Mom, how are you going to let me know if you are okay? And she said, I'm going to give you a thumbs up. And she had just came from the hospital with her mom. And she started to hug me. And I was like, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't even ask her about where she had just been. And she was so moved by that. And ever since then, we were cool. We were cool ever since then. And she used to always say, "There's something strange about you." But I never told her anything about me. And I used to always think that was so funny when she would say that. But it just was intuitive. I didn't know it, but intuitively it just came out, you know? Let's see. And I'm going to give you another one. You have a hard time with negative media images. Many empaths have a hard time with the news, especially watching the news, Facebook. Bad news can really affect an empath. When Whitney Houston died, I cried and cried and cried, and I don't even know Whitney. You know, things that are sad, like for instance 9/11. Oh, I can't even watch the footage from 9/11 anymore. I can't even watch it. I turn it off every time. So if you're an empath, these images, any negative images really on television or, on your computer are going to be disturbing to you. And most of us avoid them. I don't even watch the news. Sometimes my friend sends me links to news, like news things. I just read the title and then keep moving. I don't even read the article because it just bothers me so much. And that's something with an empath. I can't take it. Last one. You can easily tell when someone is lying. An empath can tell that you're lying without knowing that you're lying. You could be talking about a story from 20 years ago, and an empath will be able to feel that something isn't right about the vibration of the story. Don't know that your ass lying. Might not say anything about you lying, but the empath will know that you're lying. All right, guys. So this is what an empath is, and this is some of the top ways you will know if you are an empath. So if you are an empath, first of all, let me just say there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you being sensitive. There's nothing wrong with you being emotional. There's nothing wrong with any of that. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Okay? You go ahead on doing your thing. That is how you were made. Some people are empaths. Some people are clairvoyants. Some people play the trombone. Whatever gifts God gave you, just work them out. Rock out with them. The next time I come, I will talk more about how empaths can control and protect themselves, because it's very important to learn those skills. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So if you want to send me a love donation, I will leave my PayPal. If you want to send me a gift, I'll leave my Amazon wish list. If you would like to get a tarot or an oracle card reading, I'll leave my email. Please email me for an appointment. Likewise, if you would like to leave me a question for Asking Aquarius, leave it underneath here or email it to me. All right, guys, come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.